Hello, I am Miss Helene, the Youth Services Librarian with the Balboa Branch Library, and I'm here to do a presentation for the San Diego Public Library Virtual How-To Festival. Today I will be demonstrating how to make a no-sew t-shirt tote bag, and my presentation is borrowed from Mommypotamus by Heather Dessinger. You'll just need a few supplies: scissors, either regular scissors or kid-friendly, a ruler or the edge of a book, and a pencil or a marker. And you'll also need a mixing bowl or some sort of bowl. So those are the supplies you'll need, as well as a t-shirt. And you want to make sure it's a nice, good, sturdy t-shirt. It can be an old one or a brand new one, doesn't matter. But this is the t-shirt that you'll use to make your tote bag. So I'm using this t-shirt here because it got stained by some bleach, so I'm going to repurpose it into being a tote bag. And the first thing we're going to do is cut out some excess things that we don't need. So we don't need the sleeves or the collar, and then we're going to make fringes also. So the first thing we cut out is the sleeves. And you can either fold it in half and line the sleeves up with each other, like that, to cut them, or if it's too thick, you can just do each one separately. And that's pretty much freehand with cutting the sleeves. And I like to leave the seam on the shirt to keep it from fraying. So I leave that on, and then I cut the sleeves off. Going to start with a little snip right here at the bottom, just to get it started. And then I'm going to cut the sleeve off on the outside of the seam. So just going to follow right along that edge there. All right, yay, now we've got our sleeve cut off and set aside. And now we're going to cut out our collar, and we can do it from the back or the front, whichever, but you just want to make sure it's deep enough. We want to do it from this direction here so we can see, and you can draw it on the front and back, whichever you prefer. So you're drawing, let me see, I think I'm going to do it from here like this. There we go. All right, now I'm going to draw my line. I'm going to make it so I'm not cutting into the design, but I'm making it wide enough to have a deep opening and not too wide to where we don't have a wide enough handle hold. So now I'm going to draw my line for my bowl. There we go. Oh, good. All right, so now I'll start cutting the, and you can just have the front and back all together. And I'm cutting the whole collar all the way across. I can maybe start over from the other side once I get far enough along. There we go. All right, now we've got our collar cut out, and that's created our nice opening for our handles. Okay, so now we're going to start cutting our fringes. And we're going to make our markings with the ruler. And I like to go about 5 inches up. And I'm just going to do a few markings all the way across. Okay, so we're going to go 5 inches up from the edge and get a nice little mark going right there. And then just go, keep going across just a few marks so that you, okay. So now that you have your guide, now you're going to make your line across where your markings are. All the way across. So now you want to do about 3/4 of an inch to an inch wide for your fringes. So now you're going to make markings at the top and the bottom, and those are going to be your guide. So I'm going to do 1 inch markings, 1 inch. I'm going to do those all the way across. And we don't need to draw a line, we're just having that as a guide to follow along with. So now we're ready to start cutting our fringes. So now I'm going to make my first cut right along the edge here to start my first fringe. I'll go up a little higher. There we go. So now is where I'm going to follow my 1 inch marks, and you're going to make sure it's lined up nice and even, the front and the back, because you're going to do both together. So you've got your 1 inch wide fringes that are 5 inches long. And you do this all the way across. And it doesn't have to be perfect. So we just keep cutting our fringes. And when you're doing this, the t-shirt can be either right side out or inside out, depending on how you want it to look at the end. Okay, just keep doing our fringes across. Follow our markings, or we can just do freehand. Okay, so you've got all of your fringes cut now. So now you want to take the first set of fringes, the front and back, and tie them off to each other nice and snug. Nice and snug. And then the third one nice and snug. And we don't want to stop there. Now we want to go from the first fringe set to the second fringe set to seal off that bottom. So we're going to tie those. And then we're going to take the other one from the middle to one of them to the one on the right. And then we just kind of set them off to the side, and we've got that one set aside. And now we're going to tie off the next fringe set. And then we'll take one of those to that remaining one and tie those off to each other. And then we get those out of the way. And then we tie off the next fringe set, and it doesn't matter which direction you go in. And then we take those, tie them off, and set them aside. And it's going to start getting snugger as you go. All right, so here's our next set of fringes. Nice and snug. All right, so we've got all of our fringes tied, and now we have our finished product. We have our nice bottom, and we have our handles, and I'll show you one other little thing that you can do to make it fancy. And one other thing that I did mention earlier is that if you want to, you can turn it inside out and not have the fringes showing, so that they're on the inside of the bag. But I like the fringes on the outside. And now, just to make it a little fancier, we can cut the sleeves from this shirt, or you can take sleeves from a different shirt. And you tie off the handles, as many knots as you want to make in it. Do something fancy if you want. And then you've got your handles tied up. So you've got a nice big t-shirt tote bag. That's how to make a no-sew t-shirt tote bag. I hope you enjoyed doing this at home yourselves. Thank you for joining us today. Bye-bye.